Welcome to Aireagail SolidWorks tutorials. This is Module 1, Lesson 7. In this lesson, we will model a hairband. We'll be introduced to two new features, Sketch Picture and Spline Tool. The first thing you need to do is download the Sketch Picture file from Teams. So if you go to your class team, under the Files heading, you will see a folder called Hairband. In that folder, that's where you'll find the Sketch Picture Hairband file. So if you click on that and download it, you can just leave it in the download folder on your computer, or if you want, you can save it to somewhere that you know you can find it later on. Okay, but the important thing is that it's downloaded somewhere onto your computer. I'll go through in detail how you find it later on, but you have to do that now first. So download that somewhere you can find it later on. So we'll start off as normal. We're going to open up a new part. And we're going to save straight away. So I'm going to call it Hairband and my name. We're going to go to Sketch tab, Sketch command, and select right plane this time. And now this is where we need to insert our picture of the hairband. So what we're going to use that picture for is to trace around it. So instead of trying to come up with a shape of a hairband ourselves, we just get a picture of an existing one and we'll use that to trace around it. So if we go up to our drop down menu and click on Tools, come down to where it says Sketch Tools, and we're looking for Sketch Picture. So here's Sketch Picture down here. So for me, it pops up straight away. What might happen to some of you is this arrow could be scrolled all the way to the top, so you mightn't actually see Sketch Picture when you come in. So what you have to do to find it is come down to the arrow at the bottom of this menu and just scroll down to the very bottom and you'll see Sketch Picture down there. So click on it. So my computer is selecting this file automatically, that's the one we want. But for you, if you've downloaded it, you will find it when you click on Downloads. And if you've downloaded it and then saved it somewhere that you'll find it, maybe in your own folder, you click on Documents or Desktop to go and find your own folder and find it that way. Okay, so more than likely you'll find it in Downloads. When you click on the picture, click Open, and it appears. So press F to fit it onto our screens. So what we need to do now is, at the moment, it's just kind of sitting there anywhere at the moment. Okay, so one corner is touching off the origin, but that's not exactly where we want it. So over here under Properties, we're going to change some of these dimensions situated so that that picture, half it, or had a halfway point, is exactly over the origin. So to do that, this first measurement, so the origin X position, we're going to change that to minus 95 millimeters. Okay, we're going to leave both these as 0, and we're going to change this one to 190 millimeters. Okay, we're going to untick Enable Scale Tool. So the Scale Tool is this thing. The only reason we're getting rid of it is I find it very annoying. So we're going to untick that, and we're going to make sure this is ticked. So lock aspect ratio. What that means is later on, as we add measurements and things like that, it won't pull the picture out of proportion. So for example, if we come along, you know yourself from using Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, if we pull that object straight up there, it would kind of pull out of shape. The hairband would look really long and narrow. So if that happens by accident during our modeling, this means that it won't go out of shape. It'll increase or decrease in proportion to what it is now. So make sure that is ticked. The next thing we need to click on under Transparency is Full Image, and change the transparency from 0 to 0.5. And you'll notice it makes it a little bit more see-through. So when you're happy with that, hit the green tick, press F to fit it on our screens. So we have a little bit of setup to do now before we actually start tracing around this object. So if we hit center line, we're going to start at the origin, draw a center line all the way to the top, and press Escape. We're going to get another center line, and we're going to follow out from the origin. So I'm not actually drawing yet, so I'm following out from the origin, so that dotted line will appear when we're level with it. Click once, and just bring this line anywhere up there. So once it goes inside the hairband, that's good. And press Escape. We're going to hit on the center line again. And this time we're going to draw a center line. Once it's below the hairband, that's fine. So starting roughly here, bring it across, horizontal, and click again. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to hold down Control and hit the bottom of this line and hit the origin and make both those horizontal. Reason I'm doing that is when we add measurements, we don't want this line to like end up here. Okay, we want it to be at the same level. So next up, I'm going to go Smart Dimension. I'm going to make the distance between these two lines 20 mil. And go to Smart Dimension again. And I'm going to make the distance from this point to this line 34 mil. So that has us ready now to use our spline tool to trace around our object. Okay, before I start tracing around, I'm going to drag this point up further, so up to about there. So I'm going to go up and find my spline tool up here. I'm going to click on it and then zoom in down here. So ideally what we would like to happen is when we hover where these two lines meet, a dot would appear first. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, so it's not appearing for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to guess where they both meet, click once, and that will bring out my spline tool. So I'm going to zoom out. And what I'll do is I'm going to just join in to the outside of the hairband somewhere along here, click once, move on, and every couple of centimeters or so I'm going to click so that this line, as you can see, it takes the curve. So it'll take the shape of the outline of this hairband every time I click. So it'll bend around it. Okay, so I'm zooming out with the wheel of my mouse and zooming in. And I'm going to make sure to finish off on this dotted line. So make sure it turns orange and you click on it and press escape. We're going to zoom in up the top here. So this is very important. I'm going to click on my spline and we get this diamond and this arrow. So if we click on the diamond and over here, we're going to select horizontal and click the tick. So what that does is that last bit of the spline, it makes it horizontal. And the reason we need that horizontal is when we come along and mirror this line, so instead of drawing it again, we'll just mirror it. This point and the matching point on the other side will line up perfectly. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in down here and see what's going on. So yeah, we have a point there. It should be okay. It shouldn't affect us later on. So I'm just going to hit save before I go any further. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use offset entities. I'm going to change the parameters to 4 mil. And I'm going to click on my spline. Okay, so that has brought it outside. So I want to hit reverse and that will bring it inside. And hit the green tick. Okay, and that's matching up there. That's good. If I zoom in the bottom, all I have to do here is get a line and join these two dots together. And that closes my sketch. So next up, we're going to mirror our entities. So the entities to mirror are those three lines. So this one, and the little one that we just sketched down here. We're going to mirror them about this center line, and there they appear on the other side. Hit the green tick. So that has saved us an awful lot of work, just mirroring those around. So hit save, and then press F to fit to our screen. So our next job is to make this 3D. So to do that, we're going to go to Features, Extrude Boss Base. Instead of blind, we're going to change it to midplane. So what that does is, if we say our measurement is 10 mil, it'll put 5 mil either side of the sketch. Okay, so that's exactly what we want to do. We're going to leave it at 10 mil, and that will give us 5 mil either side of the sketch. And we're going to rename this Hairband. Okay, so press the space bar and we're going to look in at the right plane and hit save before we go any further. So I'm going to open a sketch on the right plane. So to do that, click this drop down arrow and select right plane. My first job is I'm going to put in a center line. So center line starting, you'll see when you hover over the origin that this dotted line will appear. So I'm going to start this center line from here, just to about there. What that's going to allow me to do is create a sketch of a grip for the hairband. So the bits that actually stick into the hair. It's going to select the line feature, come up to this dot where the center line meets the bottom of the hairband, and draw a line off to the left, down at a slight angle, and back into the center line. And we will dimension this now. So we're going to set this one to 0.5. We are going to set the distance from the top to the bottom to 2.5. And then we're going to set the distance across the top to 1.25. So if we zoom in, that's after working out for us there. And again, to save us from drawing everything all over again, we're going to mirror entities. The entities to mirror are these three lines. And we're going to mirror it about this center line. Okay, so there we have our sketch fully drawn. So we're going to go up to Features, Extrude Emboss Base. We're going to make it 3D, so you can see if we leave it as blind, that's not going to work out. So we want to exchange it from blind to mid-plane. And we want to change our dimensions. We don't want it 10 mil either. We want to change that to 3 mil. And hit the green tick. And we're going to rename that grip. So to make it look a bit more realistic, we're going to zoom in on that grip and we're just going to fillet every face. So we're going to select fillet, change the measurement to 0.2. And just to speed things up, if we select every face rather than selecting edges. So if I just come along and click that face, I click this face, bottom face, rotate around, hit this one, and that one. And then hit our green tick. So that fillets every single face that is on that grip. And I'll rename that fillet to grip fillet. And hit save. Okay, so we're going to look in at the right plane. So instead of trying to draw what could be 80 or 90 of these, we're just going to use what's called a curve-driven pattern. So to find that, underneath linear pattern, there's an arrow. And we're going to come down and hit curve-driven pattern. So for direction 1, we're going to hit this edge. We're going to leave this at 40. So if yours isn't 40, change it to 40. And we're going to change the distance between each one to 3.5. Okay, we don't want equal spacing turned on. So if it is turned on, turn it off. We want to tick the box that says offset curve. And we want to tick the box that says tangent curve. When we come down here where it says features and faces, make sure that's blue. And then we're going to hit this drop down arrow and we're going to hit grip and we're going to hit grip fillet. And you might have to click it twice. If you're happy with the direction, if it's going in the right direction for you, hit the green tick. Give your computer some time to load. You can see mine is taking some time. And then it'll appear for us. And then hit save. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing just for the other side now. Okay, so we're going to go to curve driven pattern, For direction, we're going to hit this edge. So I'm just going to clear selections. So I'll start that again. That had a mind of its own there. So curve driven pattern. For direction 1, I want to hit this edge. Okay. I want it at 40, 3.5, offset curve, tangent curve. And then for features and faces, I'm going to make sure that I'm clicking on this arrow, open up the box, and I'm clicking on grip and grip fillet. And we want to zoom out. And in this case, we might have to change the direction. We do. So you have to click on this arrow up here to change the direction. And then hit the green tick when you're happy. And give your computer time, it'll take a little bit. And there we go. Okay. So we're going to rename the first one we did to grip right. And we're going to rename the second one we did to grip left. Okay. And then come up and hit save. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to put another fillet on it. We're going to leave it at 0.2, and what we're going to do is just give the outside edges. So make sure you're clicking on an actual face. So there's one of the outside edges selected, and then I'm going to come in here and select one of the inside edges. So what that'll do is just take a little bit of the rough edge off it and hit the green tick there. Okay, so that's taking the sharp edges off it, and I'll hit save. And I'll rename that to Hairband fillet. Okay, so starting to take shape now. So what we can do now is we can start applying a material to it. So if we come over to materials, right click, edit material, and we don't want steel. So this will be normally made from plastic. So we'll click the arrow beside plastic, and it'll be normally made from something like maybe ABS. So if I click the ABS, click apply and close. Okay, so there's the material applied. If you don't like the color, you can come along, right click on it, click on appearances, so the beach ball, click on body. Over to the left then you can select whatever color you like. So you might pick red and hit the green tick. Okay, rather than just picking a color, another way you could do this is if you right click on it, click on appearances, click on body. And when this box appears over here, underneath appearances, if you hit the arrow beside that, you get a load of options. So all different materials. If you hit the one beside plastic, you can select different types of plastic. So you might pick high gloss, and then you get all these options here. So you might pick the yellow. So how you'd apply that is you just click on it, or you could drag it and drop it, and then hit your green tick. Okay, so 2 ways of adding an appearance while still keeping your material the same. So we'll hit save, and that is our hairband complete.